You used the phrase early returns,
Yeah.
Cam, as we were setting up for the show. So, what would the early returns from spring practice be?
The freshman class is looking, I mean, the way that it needs to look. I wish there were a couple more players among that group. But, early on, Hayden Lowe looking like, I mean, physically, so not necessarily performance wise, but, walking into practice, 18-year-old kid looks like an NFL player. Like he showed, or he posted pictures of his physical development since he's been on campus in only like 6-8 weeks. And like, yeah, he's like, that's what you want a 5-star to come in looking like 6'5", 200 and probably 45 pounds now. Like, and you can tell like just chiseled, I mean, lean, I mean, muscle, like, you see the pipes, like shoulders, like arms, everything. Like this kid is looking the way that he needs to look. So that's impressive. We've talked many a time about the wide receiver group in this class: Dalen Upshaw, Joshua Moore, and Malachi Toney standing out from before day one of practice, like day one since they've been on campus, to the point where Malachi Toney for the last 2 days of spring practice was actually in the number one group, in the top three at wide receiver over Ray Joseph at that slot position. So, that's great. You love seeing guys really just getting to the work. Somebody like a blue chip offensive lineman, Max Buchanan at guard, really doing some great things, as he's, just getting started there and things like that. And then also integrating all of the transfers, the multitude of transfers, especially on the defensive side of the ball in the secondary. Xavier Lucas, Zach Poyser, really looking to be the cream of the crop and at the top of the rotation on in the defensive backfield. So that's really, really good to see because, the defense was so porous and atrocious last year. It has to get better. It has to. Like, there is no, I'm not going to. Remember, like last year when I said I'm not living in a world where I'm even considering that Miami loses to Florida in the opener? I'm living in a world this year where I'm not considering that the defense doesn't take a big step forward. And from the atrocity that we saw last year, if you even go from terrible to just bad or maybe mediocre, is such a huge step forward. If we had a mediocre defense last year, we're probably in the, college football playoff quarterfinals at a minimum. You know what I mean? So, like, you got to see that step forward. And, I think that we have the players in position to be able to do that. Carson Beck changing his number and rocking Ken Dorsey's 11 as he transfers here to Miami. No pressure. I believe he's the first quarterback to wear 11, like quarterback who's going to play. Like there's probably a walk-on or like, a lowly ranked recruit who wore 11, but like the first quarterback who's of any consequence to, to wear 11 since Ken Dorsey. My boy Matt Carter from Columbus, Ohio, shout out to Matt, was a punter and placeholder on the national championship team in 01. We were there the same 5 years at the University of Miami, and he came in and he was like the backup and he was wearing number 20. And I just remember he made it a point the day after Ken Dorsey left, he was in the equipment manager's office. He said, 11. I want 11. And so my boy Matt wore 11 for the last little bit. So shout out to him for for that. But yeah, you see, Ryan, you're right, Paulo. My boy Ryan Williams from Miramar, wore 11. But unfortunately, he tore his knee up in the spring and then wasn't able to play. And that's what agrees the path to Brad Kaya starting as a true freshman. But you are a guy, that I've known ever since his junior year of high school and everything. You are correct. I stand corrected. I was wrong. It was Ryan Williams. But I guess I overlooked because of the injury that precluded him from playing. But yeah, so Carson Beck rocking 11 here, which is interesting to see. And like he's still not throwing yet, but he's out there doing all of the drills and everything. And you remember that viral moment when Dak Prescott was warming up before a game and he was just doing his hip transfers and twists and rotate. That's basically what Carson Beck is doing because he can't throw using his throwing arm. So he's going through all the reads, and you see him with the weight transfer. You can't see because I'm sitting doing all the hip work and everything. So he's been doing that. So it's been good to see guys just out there getting after it. And yeah, we're going to be moving forward. This is what's up, Durrell Bellamy. Glad to see you in here as well. And yeah, so those are kind of some of my early thoughts and takeaways from what I've heard from people and also seen, reported elsewhere from people who go to the practices all the time. I just live so far away from campus, like it's just whatever. I get down there when it's convenient, but I'm not going to get down there every single day. But yeah, Miami is on spring break starting, at the end of the day on Friday. So right now, as we're recording this on a Monday, so this week there is no practice because they're on spring break, and they'll be back next week. I think one day of acclimatization, and then you get full pads from Wednesday on for the final, but there's 15, so the final 11 practices, I want to say, and everything, because there's that transition period when you start practices. So yeah, that's where we are.
I don't know if Pete Manning was the originator of those warm-ups or those exercises for the quarterback, or if he was just the first one that I recall, or just the first famous quarterback that put it on tape. But that's who I think of when I see that.
Oh yeah. I mean, look, it's funny because the other quarterbacks are throwing and everything, and Carson has the ball in his hands and he's going through everything, but then just going to do that because he's still recovering from his elbow injury, surgery and recovery. So yeah, hopefully I'm not even going to expect to see him throw a ball during spring. If he does, then cool, but it's more important that he's healthy in August than March.
We are available, folks, on your favorite audio platform, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and there are a few others. Those are the major ones. So you can catch Hurricanes Live every edition on your favorite audio platform. So that's always an option depending on where you are.